So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Last time I spoke to a gathering in Magdalenovka was to the devotees of the Extended Council who had gathered for that event. But as I understand now, all of you have gathered for a counselor retreat. And as I told the devotees last time, I'm taking this opportunity to say just a few words to all of you. And this is not going to be a class. I'm just going to give at least a few introductory words, which I hope you will find helpful for taking part of the council retreat in Magdalenovka. And then I'm assuming your morning program will continue after I depart. I wanted to share something, a realization I had yesterday. Realization came to me because I received an email from the organizers of a festival which is going to begin tomorrow in Lithuania. And I was asked if I would prepare some kind of address to them so that they could either show it or read it to the devotees at the opening of their festival. And it was a short notice, but I put together a realization that I had yesterday, and I think it's also relevant for my presentation today, and therefore I wanted to share some of it with you as well. I was recalling I think maybe it was in the early 1990s. And when I was traveling in North America to different temples, I would often be asked by the devotees if I could make a presentation about the preaching activities of the former Soviet Union. And many devotees, specifically at that time, were very keen to know what's it like there, what are the devotees, what is their, what are their activities in Krishna consciousness at this particular time. And it just so happens I would have some photos on some slides, and I would, wherever I was asked, I would show these slides to the devotees, and I would give some commentary, tell some stories, and present some commentary about what they were watching on those slides. And then practically everywhere where I was asked to do this, at the end of my presentation, devotees would come up to me and they would say, "You know, Maharaj, we really take things for granted here. To take something for granted essentially means that you fail to properly appreciate something you have by having become overly familiar with it." So they would say, upon observing how the devotees were worshiping at that time, the facilities they had for gathering at that time, and they were comparing it to their facilities for gatherings, for worshiping. And that was their realization. we really take things for granted. And as I said, practically everywhere I went, somebody would come up at the end of the presentation and say that to me. I was thinking also that with respect to myself, and I was telling the devotees in Lithuania also, that after 17 months being restricted in one place, not having been given the facility, at least not yet, to travel as I was traveling before, I believe that Krishna is teaching me of what are the potential pitfalls of becoming too familiar of the facilities we have. And I was using my own example to help the devotees there, and now to you to understand. Now, what I'm trying to say is, please don't take the facilities that you have for granted. Please don't become, or in other words, be careful not to properly appreciate the facilities that you have by becoming overly familiar with the opportunities you're now given to gather together at an event, to chant together, to honor prasadam together, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam together, to relish the association with each other. It's a facility that you have, and if you become too familiar with it, someday you may regret that you didn't take sufficient advantage of that facility by having taken it for granted. Don't take for granted Vaisnava Sanga. Don't take for granted your service. It's also another very important part. You all are gathered here because you have a service, and therefore, as I understand, your service, amongst other services that you're performing, is to help others in Krishna consciousness, to take care of others, to encourage others, and to help them become Krishna's servants. I was just reading a quote from Srila Prabhupada just before I got on this morning. Prabhupada was writing to one devotee, and he said, Krishna has sent you some new devotees. Now keep them and train them. They should not feel inconvenience. As a matter of etiquette, you should tell them that if they feel any inconvenience, they should inform you, and you can fix their situation. In other words, Prabhupada was speaking to this devotee in such a way to help him remind him that the devotees Krishna is sending to us, we should not see them as an inconvenience. It's our service. And it's a privilege to have been given a service, which is something which is very dear to Srila Prabhupada, something which is very dear to Lord Chaitanya, something which is very dear to Krishna. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, there's no servant in this world more dear to me than those who tell others about me and help others to become his servants. we should not take that service for granted. It's a very rare privilege being given by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and by the mercy of Vaishnavas. Take it for granted means, as we said before, failing to appreciate what Krishna has given us by having become too overly familiar with either others that we're dealing with or familiar with the activities and events which we are supposed to embrace as an opportunity to serve. For myself, I can say, maybe Krishna has put me in this situation. I don't know why, but somehow I'm in this situation that I'm very rarely sitting in the presence of devotees. I would like to be there, saying all this to you in your presence. Instead, I'm speaking to a camera, looking at you on a monitor. And I did that every day for over a year, practically. Recently, the BBT requested me to send my lectures on Brihad Bhagavatamrita. They want to use them because Brihad Bhagavatamrita is a BBT production. And they asked me if I had given any talks on any of Prabhupada's books or any of our BBT books that I could share with the BBT because they want to use them online. So I told them I've been giving classes on Brihad Bhagavatamrita online. And I had to count to tell them how many talks I gave. And I realized that I gave 263 talks on Brihad Bhagavatamrita in the last year. All online, to a camera, to people I've had to look through and see on a monitor. I can't remember the last time I've spoken in the presence of Vaishnavas. And somehow Krishna, I guess, is teaching me, don't take for granted the service and opportunity and facilities that I have previously had in the association of devotees. That was my realization. I wrote about it, and I also wanted to share that realization with you, all of you who have gathered for this event. I don't know what Krishna has in store for the future. I don't know. I don't spend that much time thinking about it. And I can't even conjecture what's in store for the future. But you have this facility now. You have this service now. And you have the opportunity to deepen your realizations about the meaning of your service in the association of experienced devotees who can share their realizations with you. Please, I beg you, don't take this opportunity for granted. Use it to its full potential. Hear the important topics which will be shared with all of you. They're relevant for helping others in Krishna consciousness. They're relevant to your service. If you take your service seriously, you should want to know how to do it better. Krishna wants to see us, how much we want to do whatever service he's given to us better. That is Krishna consciousness. How to do something better that we're already doing. How to do something better for Krishna. Just as a cook who's making a preparation for the deities, they're always thinking of ways of how to do it nicer, how to be more attentive in their service, how to make the preparation in a way that it will be very pleasing to Krishna, how to keep the kitchen clean, because Krishna likes offerings which are made in a very clean environment. They're always thinking of ways of how to improve. It's their service. If you're doing a service for somebody, then you should be thinking, how can I do this better? It's not an inconvenience. It's my opportunity that Krishna has given to me to do it better, to please my spiritual master, to please Srila Prabhupada, to please Lord Chaitanya, ultimately, to please the Lord in such a way that we'll be able to remember him. Prabhupada, I read one other quote this morning I wanted to share. Something that Prabhupada said about his vision, about how he saw those who were sent to him. Very wonderful quote. I'll read it slowly. One devotee asked Prabhupada, in the early days of this movement in New York, devotees have said they did not know how to treat your divine grace. They did not know your exalted position. I think we are still very much offensive. Prabhupada said, no, cut the devotee off. The devotee was about to say something in our, and Prabhupada just cut him off. And he said, no, I am a servant. I have no exalted position. Servant. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down in a place where people were washing their feet. Yes. And then there's a short break and he says, a representative of Krishna. I came to preach Krishna consciousness. And Krishna has sent so many representatives to help me. I consider like that. Without your help, I could not do. So I wanted Krishna's help. So Krishna has sent you. Therefore, you are representative of Krishna. That is my conception. This is how Prabhupada responded. When the devotees asked, Prabhupada was, how did you feel about not being treated properly? Did you feel offended? Prabhupada said, no, I'm a servant. I have no exalted position. I'm a servant. Krishna has sent you. You're representatives of Krishna and my opportunity to serve. That is my conception. So I thought that would be appropriate also to share that with you. He's telling what should be our conception when Krishna sends somebody to us. He has given us an opportunity to serve. Don't take it for granted. Don't become familiar with that opportunity to serve. And don't become familiar with the opportunity you now have in the association of many devotees, especially senior devotees, to learn many important topics of how to improve that service which Krishna has given to you. I will not go over all of the topics. The one topic that I noticed immediately caught my attention, which will be spoken about. How can we make our spiritual life sustainable? When I looked at that, I realized, yes, everybody should be all ears. How to make our spiritual life sustainable. So what sustainable means that we don't become familiar with the gifts and the service which has been given to us. That we see every opportunity for service as an opportunity to remember Krishna and an opportunity to please him. If we cultivate that internal consciousness in the execution of our service, wherever we are, wherever Krishna puts us, whatever limited association we may have, and whatever Krishna has in store for us in the future, we will find a way to serve him. This is how to make our spiritual life sustainable, is to internally become fixed in every opportunity Krishna gives us as a way to serve him and to please him. This is my short talk, and I hope it was presented in a way that is relevant to you and to your service, and I hope you will find it relevant to the next few days ahead of you as you are given this facility that you have in the association of devotees there in Magdalenivka. And know, I would be very happy if I could be there with you. And I just simply hope for the day when it will manifest somehow, if Krishna desires, to have that opportunity in the future. I will end here. There's no facility, I don't think, for questions or comments. And as far as I know, I could be wrong. Maybe there's a class that's coming now too. I was asked to speak for a half hour, and it's been 27 minutes. So I'll end here. Thank you very much for this opportunity to serve you, and have a wonderful event. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
We may have some questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why
I
not?
have a.
It cannot work simultaneously all the time. You know, I have to speak and then cut off my voice to you. But
there is one thing. Let me just warn you. I have a physical therapy treatment every day at 11 o'clock.
В 11 часов у меня
which is 2 minutes from now, the therapist will be here and for acupuncture and for my treatment. But sometimes he's late. So I will take advantage of the facility that maybe he will be late today. But as soon as he knocks on the door, I will have to end, just so that you know, because he has other patients he needs to treat. So with that said, if there is a question, I'll take it.
What shall we do to avoid fallen into this consciousness to becoming familiar, too familiar, taken for granted facilities given to us by Krishna.
Well, let me say, becoming familiar is inevitable. It will happen. And it will probably happen repeatedly. What should we do to minimize it? I would say that would be a better question. And the best way to minimize it is to appreciate and to speak in a way to appreciate the association and facilities that you do have. Too many times we find the tendency amongst devotees to not appreciate and rather to speak in a favorable way, because that tendency is there to become familiar. They choose to speak in a way to minimize the service of others, to minimize the efforts others are making to try to perform their service, to minimize the facilities that we have. Instead of appreciating them, we look at them in a critical mentality and find fault with them. We wish to correct everything that we see which requires improvement, not by doing it ourselves, but by telling others what they should do to correct it. This is the tendency. This is the tendency. How to minimize that? Unfortunately, knock just came on the door, and I'll have to say it in just a few words. I'll be right there. Okay? I'm just finishing a class. How to minimize it? Minimize it by recognizing the efforts devotees are making to provide the facilities that you already do have. Speak about it. Express your appreciation for their efforts, for their service. And if there's some lack, offer. What can I do to help to improve the situation? This mentality will minimize the tendency to become too familiar with the facilities and the association of devotees which we already have and which Krishna has given to us. I have to go. As I said, therapist is here, and I have to take the treatment which is being given to me. It is my practically every day. I will end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila
Thank you so much.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Slava Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo.